Good morning, everyone. If everyone could take their seats, please. This is not an unusual occurrence at NACW where people are straggling in all morning due to the parties that went on last night. So I'll let each of you decide what your own personal vantage point was. But, my name is Craig Ebert. I am president of the Climate Action Reserve. And on behalf of the Reserve staff and our board of directors, I want to welcome all of you to our 19th annual NACW here in lovely downtown Anaheim, right next to Disneyland. It's really an exhilarating time to see all of you here. We've all been sick and tired of being cooped up these last few years. And, it's very momentous times for all of us, for our entire planet, and this particular conference comes at a very critical moment. We've been witnessing a lot over the last few years, a lot of constantly changing conditions in this world, everything from the pandemic to Ukraine, to disputed elections, to insurrections. The list goes on about how rapidly our lives seem to change. One thing has not changed throughout that time, and that is that the climate crisis remains unabated. The challenges are still there. For those of you who have been following, the science, it just continues to get increasingly dire. The IPCC will be publishing its 6th assessment report later on this year. They've already been publishing different aspects of that, including if you looked at last year's physical sciences report, it was unequivocal what's going on. The IPCC expressly stated that rapid, widespread, and intensifying actions are human-caused. End stop right there. It's important to remember that the human impact is unequivocal. That debate should have ended long ago, but the IPCC has certainly made it clear that that's where we are today. We're already 1.1 degrees centigrade higher than our baseline background levels. We know we're supposed to keep it under 1.5, and yet, and we need to do that in the next 20 years. Where are we today? Well, each decade continues to be the warmest on record. We've seen CO2 levels in the atmosphere now that we haven't seen in 2 million years. Wind back that geological clock and you wonder why scientists have a hard time predicting all of the impacts, even though they're readily evident today. One scientist once told me we can't predict what's going to happen because the last time we had concentrations like this, there were alligators at the North Pole. Don't take away that we're going to have alligators in the North Pole next summer. That's not the point. It's just that we have really disturbed our natural equilibrium. And just this past Monday, the IPCC reaffirmed exactly where we're at. We need immediate large-scale reductions. According to the IPCC, if we have any hope of reaching that 1.5 degree target, we've got to halt the rise in global emissions by 2025, 3 years, and have them by 2030. If any of you think we're on that trajectory, even close to it, we need to have a discussion. This is a daunting challenge, and the tragedy is all the more disturbing because the actions simply aren't there. If you look at the sum total of the nationally determined contributions coming out of Glasgow, if everything's implemented, and that if needs to be underscored and written in 50-point type, we're going to hold warming to 2.5 degrees by 2050. And as I said, it's a serious question whether we're actually going to be able to implement those actions. At the moment, we're on a trajectory where emissions by 2030 will be twice what they ought to be. And I want to remind everybody that NDCs, as comforting as it might be that we're finally getting global commitments across the board, that's all they are, commitments. I've been calling them hot air lately because until they get translated into action and all of us know what's to be expected, that's all they are. It's an important step, but it's nothing more than that. And the fact of the matter is we need global action now. From all sectors, all countries, all people, whatever your affiliation. We're fundamentally trying to transform human society with the types of energy we use. That's never been targeted before in human history. And this is a fundamentally different issue than any other challenge on the planet. Because if you want to know who's at fault, we all need to look in the mirror. We're all contributing to this problem. And I just wanted to mention a few guidelines that we need to follow. That's the first one, is recognizing that you can't point the finger, it's that person. No, it starts here. And I want to just offer up what I think are a few critical guidelines for all of us to follow globally moving forward. First of all, we need to stop letting perfection be the enemy of the good. We know a lot of actions we can take, and this quibbling about whether it's going to be the perfect solution needs to stop. We're going to make mistakes as a species along the way, but we need to retool. Furthermore, given the gravity of the situation, all mitigation options need to be on the table now. We don't have the luxury of picking and choosing and scaling options over different time scales. We needed it all yesterday, and those types of debates need to stop. We also need to recognize that countries and companies are going to make mistakes along the way. We don't have all the answers. Pure and simple. We have a lot of them, and that's important to recognize, but we don't have them all. And inevitably, in our public discourse, we fall back on criticizing governments or companies for failing to do the right thing, or maybe in our estimation, doing the wrong thing. That type of criticism is just hampering progress. It's not helping it. What we need to do is take a more positive engagement approach to this, is applaud the actions that any country or any company has taken. And if we have concerns about that, maybe it's not as optimal as we would like it to be, work with them in a positive way, in a forward-looking way to retool and to move forward. Countries and companies are not going to spend vast sums of money only to be, roundly criticized day in and day out. One of the major bright spots in this is found in this room. We are filled with people here who have the energy, the brilliance, the knowledge and drive to get things done. Each of you demonstrated every day, constantly bringing new possibilities to global carbon markets. Here at NACW, we want you to enjoy these next couple of days, connect with each other, and certainly enjoy those connections after all the trials and tribulations we've been through over the last few years. But then leave here to redouble your efforts. We can solve this climate crisis. We can ensure that our children and grandchildren get to enjoy the beautiful planet that all of us got to grow up in. You are the tip of the spear. Together we can lead the way and make the difference. Let's get started today. Thank you.